when we think about kind of the opportunities that family businesses have, which are typically privately held, versus sort of the more traditional, conventional, large, publicly held corporation. I think it's not always the case, but I think what we find, with the family businesses that have this bent, right, that have this, kind of commitment, is just that, right, that it's really core, right, that if you look at a lot of publicly held corporations, they have, kind of lofty sounding purposes often, right? There's sort of some kind of statement of purpose that's put up on the website. And then they'll have the obligatory set of 2030 sustainability goals, which probably mostly have to do with the kinds of waste reduction, sort of, as Christina was saying, be less bad elements. But sometimes it's more than that. Sometimes sustainability goals also point to things like, we're going to solve these problems out in the world, we're going to feed this many people and so forth. But oftentimes when you climb under the surface of that with large public companies, there's a disconnect, right? So you have this lofty statement of purpose and you have the sustainability goals, but the sustainability goals were often created or developed by, a staff in the company. They may have engaged, people in the business, but they've been largely developed by sustainability staff that have been hired for that purpose. They publish the sustainability report. So there's really not much, kind of connection between the purpose and sustainability and what the corporation actually does through its business, right? There's a disconnect, right? It's almost like it's missing connective tissue. So I like to draw the distinction between, what we might think of as sustainability goals versus business aspirations, right? Or even bigger, when you think about system change, a corporate quest to really have an impact out there in the world in some way. And I find that with the privately held family businesses, some that I've worked with, like Cascade, what you see is that sustainability really is core. It's part of the business aspiration. It's what the company is all about. It's embedded purpose, right? It's not off to the side. It's not a saddlebag, right? So Sanjay, right, the dean of the school, Sanjay Sharma, and I have written a piece, about business education called Beyond Saddlebag Sustainability in Business Education, because it's the same story in business schools, right? Sustainability in most places just kind of hangs off the side, as a few elective courses in the second year, but the core doesn't change. It's the same old finance core and strategy core and so forth. And I think the same is true in a lot of publicly held companies. Sustainability is a saddlebag. You can see it from the outside. It looks kind of cool, but you can always just take the saddle off the horse and it's the same old horse. Whereas, in the family businesses that I think have a true commitment to this in a deep way, it's embedded purpose, right? It's really what the company wants to achieve out there in the world through the business. It's about business aspiration and a larger societal quest.
And something I think enables that is the time horizon. I think a lot of businesses that are publicly traded really get into this next quarter financial return. And when you look at that with micro trading and other things, a lot of times the investors who are invested in the stock market have long-term time horizons. They might be a retirement account or something along those lines, but it gets distorted into what is next quarter's financial return. So you lose a lot of the opportunity to look generationally, to look for your community, to look at the improvements that will be good for the long term. And that's one thing that I think as a family business structure, you're allowed to look, as Fred mentioned, generationally and say, this is a family business. We want to have an impact on our community. And West Michigan has a lot of family-owned businesses, and we're actually one of the highest philanthropy per capita, which is pretty interesting because of the giving back and that sense of, when you're rooted in the community and it's not distorted through Wall Street, that there's some benefits to that.